Thank you very much.
I'm going to talk about the preventive care in long-term neurodisability. That's who I am. It's up there. My only disclosure is that I'm medical director for rehabilitation for Cambridge Medical and Neurorehabilitation Center, who is very supportive with our conference. So the objective of this talk are very simple: to develop understanding of the term neurodisability. We probably all think we know it, but there is a good need to understand what neurodisability exactly means. To provide an overview of the scale and impact of neurodisability, you'll be surprised how heavy that is on the international community. To give the details of secondary complications and to provide and outline some of the preventive measures. So what exactly is long-term neurodisability? Neurodisability describes a group of congenital or acquired long-term conditions that are attributed to the impairments of brain and or neuromuscular system and create functional limitations. A specific diagnosis may not be identified. Conditions may vary over a period of time, occur alone or in combination, and include a broad range of severity and complexity. The impact may include difficulties with movement, cognition, hearing and vision, communication, emotion and behavior. So it's a kind of very wide spectrum, complex condition that a neurodisability can actually give you. And this is a definition of neurodisability from a Delphi survey, and the reference is over there. So it's not, it's well known how to define and describe neurodisability. The expanse of the problem, how bad is it? I mean, what does it cost us? What happens to us? Neurological conditions are a leading cause of disability worldwide. That goes without saying. Over an estimated 1 billion people worldwide are affected by neurological disease and disorders, so that's a staggering number. Over 6.8 million die every year as a result of neurological diseases and disorders. European economic cost of the neurological disease are estimated to be over 139 billion euros. So that's massive. That's really absolutely, to use a colloquial word, humongous. As many as 9 out of 10 people suffering from epilepsy in Africa go untreated, even today. 10 million people die in the United Kingdom alone suffering from neurological. 10 million people in the United Kingdom alone suffer from neurological conditions. Approximately 50 people are diagnosed every hour in the United Kingdom with some kind of neurological problem, and over 8 million people in the United Kingdom are affected by neurological conditions and related and has a problem with managing their tasks in daily living activities. Over 1 million people in the United Kingdom are disabled by neurological conditions, and 600,000 people in the United Kingdom are newly diagnosed each year. So it's a large talk. So basically, UK data is what I've used, but you can translate that into many countries with a very similar sort of data will come through if you match the population. The approximately 350,000 people in the UK require daily assistance. 350,000 people in the United Kingdom require daily assistance for tasks because of neurological conditions. Approximately 200,000 children have an acquired brain injury. 25% people between the ages of 16 and 64 years of age suffer from chronic neurological disability. 33% of disabled people living in the residential care homes have a neurological disability. 17% of the consultation with a medical practitioner are a result of neurological conditions. So I can go on, and there is a website over there that I have referred to that will tell you how heavy this load is, and I will also refer you to the World Health Organization figures in terms of neurological conditions and neurological disability. So I just wanting to emphasize to you that people who are sitting in this hall will have to care for people with neurological disability, need to think a little bit more than just a disability, because it is an add-on problem. And why is that? I will go through that with you in a minute. So just the final thing, a little bit, neurological disease and disorders, some of the most devastating illnesses one can suffer from. They significantly affect not only sufferers but their families and caregivers. There is an increasing prevalence of neurological conditions in older age people, particularly dementia, and that is an add-on problem that is progressively getting worse. Many neurological conditions such as Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis, ischemic strokes are among the most prevalent diseases in the world. So there are over 200 neurological conditions that are listed in the coding literature. So just to give you what we are dealing with, I thought it is important for you to take you through this little bit of minefield. You all know, I'm not going to lumber too much on this slide. You all know the leading conditions that lead to neurodisability. The part of the world that we are practicing in, we have quite a large population with congenital neurodisability, and we have a growing population with secondary conditions such as stroke, brain injury, and spinal cord injury. But infections, hypoxic brain injury, and the rest continue to sort of add on to that sort of more common burden. What does neurological disability do to you? When a neurological condition occurs, what can it do? It causes paralysis. We all know that. People can have hemiplegia, they can have paraplegia, they can have quadriplegia, they can have monoparesis. So there is that paralysis, that is obvious. It can cause problems, subtle problems with posture and balance. So somebody is got cerebellar problem creeping up on them, like cerebellar degeneration quietly creeps on somebody, and they get progressively ataxic and become, and over a period of time may develop what we call a mobility disability. They may require to get into a wheelchair for safety purposes. You have sensory problems. People can develop not ability to smell. That can cause problems. People may not be able to smell smoke when they're sleeping, or there is a fire in the house. So there is a danger associated with it. They may have a problem with taste. So taste disability may not be able to taste food. It's a social problem as much as pleasure problem, as much as people may stop eating because they don't understand what's the point. We don't enjoy it, so they'll start secondary problems with it. Epilepsy we all know about. Fatigue is an underrated sort of symptom of neurological disability. We don't regularly ask people with multiple sclerosis or stroke what makes them tired. What concerns me that a lot of people with neurological disability in our part of the world want a lot of physical therapy beyond the capacity that they can actually endure. So I will talk to you when I go into the prevention side that if you overtreat people, you can actually generate dangerous level of spasticity. People get headaches, they have perceptual problems, so they might have visual perceptual problems, they may have sensory perceptual problems, they may touch hot kettles and burn themselves, and dysphagia. Just list goes on. It's a long list. Problem with memory and learning, poor attention, reasoning, planning. So the whole thing drives you is the brain and the spinal cord, and if there is a problem there, you can develop any level or any kind of disability, and I'll summarize that for you in a minute. So what exactly can you get? What I've shown you was the long list, but how can you summarize that? You can have pure motor disability. People may not be able to walk. Pure motor disability. You can have sensory disability, where people are unable to sense things. People have cognitive disability, memory, subtle memory problems, or very harsh memory problems, or people may not be able to find their way through the root finding and things. Mixed motor and sensory disability, mixed motor and cognitive disability, mixed sensory and cognitive disability, and then you have a mixed motor, sensory, and cognitive disability. So you have several combinations that you can get. One or the other component can be more dominant. So with a patient with stroke may have a sensory impairment which may be mild, but a more heavier component of the motor disability with hemiplegia. So you need to be mindful of the fact what combination you actually get. Whilst there is a trend to assign the prefix mild, moderate, and severe to disability, there is no real system to actually evaluate the level of disability. I can tell you that. The measures are not entirely widely accepted, and for the purpose, functional independence measure level of the functional engagement and independence, and theoretically it may be possible to rate neurodisability using FIM or another measure such as Norfolk dependency scale, but neither have been formally validated to actually for the rating of disability. They are okay to assess what the level of disability is, but there hasn't been wider trial to say, well, if you have so much score of FIM, your level is mild. If you have so much score of FIM, you have a moderate or a severe disability. So there are lots of complications that you can develop. Secondary complication where you can develop with disability. You can have, we heard a very good discussion in the free paper yesterday about tissue contractures. You can have malnutrition, and we just heard about people who have swallow problem. Skin breakdown, recurrent chest infections, osteoporosis, urinary tract infections, constipation, falls, and general debility. And I'm just going to quickly take you, because we've had lectures on most of them, so I'm not going to, just want to implant in your head the concept of prevention in neurodisability. That's what I want to do. So, reducing the contracture risk, you've got to think prevention, not once the contractures have happened. Positioning, joint range of motion management. You need to teach spasticity early. Get time out of bed. Bed is a bad place for this for neurologically disabled patients. You develop contractures in bed. Must understand patients have to come out of bed daily for a good length of time. Effective pain management and start early. Preventive care in malnutrition. Patients who are unable to swallow or are slow at eating are at risk, because if somebody else is feeding them, they lose interest. Much as they love them, they lose interest after about 10 spoonfuls. If somebody is taking 10 minutes to take 1 minute for each spoonful. So you have to think about that. Dietitians should be involved. Adequate amount of clear fluid must be given. People are at risk of dehydration and avoid excessive weight gain. Spasticity, you had 2 lectures, one from Mario Lofredo this morning, you had one from Nirmal Surya just now. I'm not going to number on the fact. The only message I have to give, don't ignore it. We ignore spasticity. We don't treat it as effectively as it should be treated, and not at the time when it should be treated. We treat it rather late. By the time the contractures they already have to start, so treat it early, please. Skin care, there are not as many nurses booked into this conference, but I'm hoping that as we grow as a fraternity, we'll be able to interest them more. Skin care is exceptionally important. One person develops a pressure ulcer, that's bad news for neurodisability. That actually accentuates contracture development, that accentuates malnutrition, that accentuates a lot of problems. They are at risk of septicemia, they are at risk of being left in bed because you can't sit them out because of the pressure being accentuated when you sit them out. So there are ways of assessing the risk of pressure ulcer development. I'm not going to look, I won't show you those. Waterloo or Braden scales, some of you are very familiar. If you're not, you need to do your own research and find it, but implement in your practice some way of assessing the requirement for risk assessment of pressure ulcer. You've just had a wonderful lecture. I think, thank you very much, Dr. Kushik, about respiratory care of patients. I think the 2 important things you have to take home is not to put patients who are on PEG feed less than 30 degrees at any time when you're feeding them, because you are putting them at risk of respiration. And a lot of long-term care facilities where patients are actually continuing going back and forth from home or into the acute hospital is exactly for that reason. Don't put them less than 30 degrees. We have one this battle in our center. We have started sort of putting them up. I'm actually going up to 45 at the time because I'm rather more older and more fearful. So, but 30, not less than 30 at all. And also the bolus feeding issue has to be clear. You don't fill up the stomach too much. If you fill the stomach too much, you will have some come back up there. So just think about that. Osteoporosis is a long topic. I can give you a lecture on its own on osteoporosis prevention in patients with neurological disability. There's a lot of problem. The important thing is mobilization. One message. I know people get put on vitamin D and calcium. No, the most important thing is don't leave patients in bed. They have to come out. I can go through the mechanics of how you get calcium deposition in the bone. Most importantly, you have to challenge the musculoskeletal system with gravitational pull. And that's why a patient must be out of bed daily. They have to be out of bed daily. Bed is that place for both. Similarly for the muscle strength. Urinary tract infections, a lot of patients from home, from long-term care, and inside the long-term patient inside the hospital develop recurrent catheter-associated urinary tract infection. So much so is this a problem that in the recent quality markers in the States, reduction in COTI, catheter association urinary tract infection, has been made a quality marker for rehabilitation facilities. We have tried, I think we have been successful in taking most of the catheters, invalid catheters out in our practice. You leave an invalid catheter, you're inviting a problem. It's only a matter of time when a person is going to get. It's not whether the patient is going to get an infection when there's a catheter in the bladder. It's when a patient is going to. You might be very good, you may delay 2 months, you may delay 3 months. Eventually, you're going to get an infection. You're going to get grit in the bladder. You're going to have problems with calcium deposition, so you must try not to leave a long-term device inside the bladder. You will hear a wonderful later a lecture about management of urinary bladder bowel, and this matter will be picked up a bit more in that session. Constipation. Either we overtreat it, or we ignore it, or we do treat it badly. I think it is important to make a plan. The prescriptive, the physicians will hear, please, if the nurse, you hear the word constipation from the nurse, don't write lactose. This is not how it works. You need to go into the details of it. What is happening? How much fluid is going in? Patients may be dehydrated, right? Go through the process. If you're not mobilizing patients out of bed, you're not giving them enough rocket, what's the lactose going to do? So it is important to formulate a proper way of treating patients with constipation. The best thing is not allow it to happen. Give the right amount of fiber, give the right kind of stimulation to the bowel to move daily, and have a right kind of arrangement. We recently received a patient from a facility elsewhere, I'm not going to say what. He was getting gastric distension almost weekly, 2 weeks. And that would push his diaphragm up, and then he would get a chest infection and straight to ICU. Every 2 or 3 months he was either in ICU or in acute care. We have worked out the constipation management plan, and for the last 2 weeks, thankfully, it's quite nice and stable. So it's important to make a plan. Don't just jump in with prescription. Falls prevention is another long lecture. Assess the fall risk and set up a plan. I don't have time to go through the whole thing. It's written. All neurological disabled patients are at risk of fall. Okay. You will have to implement bathroom buddies. You have to have somebody with them, but don't overprotect either. You have to be very careful in the way you handle these patients. You can make them sort of concerned about their falls. So develop a full post-assessment of patients when they come in, do a proper assessment, and then develop a plan how to prevent falls when they are in your facility or at home. And then lastly, neurological disability can result in progressive debility and physical decompensation. Lack of adequate nutrition is one of the problems, lack of exercise is another. Depression is very high. Please assess your patients for subclinical depression. If a person has gone off their food, if a person does not want to watch television or go out with the family, there are problems. You have to address their psychological problem. And dependence is another issue. Patients gradually become dependent, what I call subconsciously dependent. One day they're able to make a gradually a shirt is being put on by a wife or a husband or a brother, while the person is still able to feed the arm into the sleeve. So this gradual independence retraction, as I call it, it's a danger. It's done for care and love, but it's a danger to make them over-dependent upon a secondary source. It is important to make good nutrition, obviously, exercise to capacity. Don't overburden the neurological patient with too much exercise. People are coming to our center at 6 hours of therapy per day. Who in this place does 6 hours of exercise per day? Can you raise your hand? Nobody does. But they think more exercise translates into recovery. Doesn't work like that. Plasticity, yes, it is a repetitive practice, but it is not overburdened practice. And this is what we need. We don't want to overburden the brain. Brain has a learning capacity. It has a learning time frame. That's why children take 10 or 12 years to go into professional training before they get ready for education. It doesn't just like, you open a physics book today and tomorrow you're able to go into nuclear science. It doesn't work like that. Brain takes time to learn. So this is important. You have to take time to explain to your patient. More is not good. How you deliberate is what is vital. And increased level of dependence, particularly in terms of feeding and other sources, and do not make patients dependent upon you more than they have to be. So, conclusion. Neurological disability can be made worse by acquisition of secondary complications, such as contractures, pressure stroke, skeletal deformities, frequent chest infections, and bladder infections, as well as malnutrition, fatigue, and general debility. It is important that the healthcare team that cares for these patients have a full grasp of the subject of secondary complication and put measures in place to prevent this actually further disabling the patient who is already disabled by the neurological condition. Thank you very much.